Welcome to another episode of Momentum Mode. Today will be a lively conversation between Mike and I. But first, I want to thank our sponsor, Kilpatrick, Townsend & Stockton, a law firm that both Mike and I have worked with and can help for all of your corporate legal needs. Additionally, I want to thank Improve, Mike's company, which is AI for financial services providers, and my organization, Aperium Ventures, venture capital focused on the ad tech and martech spaces. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome back to Momentum Mode. I'm Mike.
Corey?
And is it even possible to have an episode where AI is not involved?
No.
How about A1?
A1, well, I think we've moved past A1 and evolved into AI.
Oh, okay.
That's
yeah.
it.
Nice. We're evolving. Well, we understand that it's become almost cliche level to say A1 or and one, A1,
Yeah.
AI.
F1? No, wait.
Yeah,
AI.
right. I grew up with and one mixtapes. Anyways, we'll keep moving. Corey, what's happening though is startups are building AI native.
Yep.
Incumbents are trying to fast inject AI into everything in their operations. You're now co-running an ad tech venture capital firm. What's happening in the landscape?
Yeah, I mean, and the interesting part is the injecting into their existing business, right? Yep. So, at a conference recently, and every meeting I had and every company that presented and every presentation on stage was about AI. And it was like a joke. Someone on stage finally was like, hey, welcome to the AI conference, right? Yeah. But the reality is it is dominant in everybody. We're now close enough to the transition from the internet that everybody now realizes, oh, this is that big a shift and that changed everything. What's going to happen here, right? So there is this concept evolving. Are you an AI native company or are you a legacy company that is injecting AI into your business? Yep. And there's kind of two legacy companies, the ones that understand AI and start to inject it in their business to make dramatic changes, or the ones who think the change isn't happening that fast or it's not going to hit my industry or we're going to be immune. And I'll just tell you, one of them's not going to survive. You can guess which.
There's somebody out here who doesn't think that it's hitting their industry?
Oh, 100%.
Who's that person?
Yeah, I have talked to executives that say it's going to take longer to get here. There's going to be regulatory stuff in the way of me. Oh, AI is never going to replace me. Bull. AI is going to hit every company in some major way.
Yeah, so I'm coming from, building an AI native startup, hanging out with a bunch of founder friends who are all doing the same. It's almost redundant to say AI. It's just how you're building a company. So it's kind of foreign to me, but you're seeing it where there's a legacy company out there, or many who are thinking, how do we inject it into our company? What's going on?
I mean, they have to figure out, first and foremost, they've got to figure out what are the tools we can use? If they're developing software, good example, how to use AI in software. If you've got a whole bunch of people on the phones, how am I using AI to make the call center more effective? If I'm running a big finance department, what kind of analysis can AI help me do? If I'm doing analytics, what kind of analytics can AI do to help me? And I just feel like companies are not being thoughtful about it, right? They're not stopping and saying, okay, we as a venture capital firm, we look at three areas of AI in your business, right? And companies aren't asking themselves, one, how are we using AI to better serve our customer? Mm-hmm. How are we using AI to solve our customer's problem in a better way? Right? That's about the output, the product that I'm delivering. And every company can do that. I don't care if you're, consumer goods or if you're a bank. There's a way AI can help you solve your customer's problem better. Number two, how am I using AI in the, quote, development of my product? If it's software, it's very clear. But, one of my daughters works at an engineering company. They're using AI in designing the products, right? There's ways of using AI in actually building that product. And last is, how am I using AI to operate my business more efficiently, right? Whether that's, tools in finance, analytical tools, or whatever operational tool you could have. You need to be looking at all three, and it can't be an accident. You can't just say, oh, departments, go find AI, go for it, right? Successful companies are going to have an actual plan as to how they inject AI into their business. They're going to have someone driving this. And the biggest issue I see with big companies right now is legal is driving it. And the first thing legal is doing is saying no.
Legal is driving it?
Yes, because legal is out there saying you can't use AI. And it's the first person to take a corporate position on AI.
Yeah. They're driving the cultural norm around AI. They're not driving the discovery process of tools.
Well, they're stopping it.
Yeah, they're stopping
it. Right. They're the leaders in AI in the company because they're the first ones saying, here's rules. Yeah. Rule number 1, don't use it. Mm-hmm. Rule number 2, don't put our data into it.
Yeah, right.
Rule number 3, don't log on to any AI system from a corporate, and so on.
Yeah, right.
We're seeing the customers of companies we've invested in are putting AI writers in agreements, slowing down contracts dramatically. I had one CEO call me a couple weeks ago.
And what does that mean, an AI writer?
Yeah, so they're putting AI writer, which is here's your contract. And by the way, I have this side agreement on your use of AI and how you're going to use AI and whether it's what AI is, what of our data is going to be allowed to train AI. And it's really detailed.
Yeah.
And I had one CEO reach out and she said, are you seeing this a lot? Because it just took all of our deals from like 30 days in legal to 90 days in legal.
Yeah, right.
Like, what the hell just happened? I said, yeah, we're seeing it everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. And so legal is the most
it's an
active.
accelerator to all these parts of the operation, but there's a slowness to the adoption for good reasons. I mean, discoverability of something that's been shared with an open LLM is a real risk, and so you need to have a closed, secure environment.
You do, but you also need to figure out how to get there really damn fast. And the problem is legal departments don't move that quick.
Yeah.
Right?
So let's talk about the gap of the haves versus the have-nots.
Yep.
The company that is embedding AI into their operations, whether they're a services business or product company versus the one that is not. Like, what do you see being the elements of the divide or the gap?
Yeah, I mean, two very distinct things. One is if you are injecting AI into the back end of your business, the operating of your business, you're going to lower your costs. So you're either going to be more profitable or be able to lower your costs to consumers.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to see a lot of legacy companies struggling because someone's going to build a service similar to theirs at a dramatically lower cost base and deliver very similar capability, whether that be a service or a product or whatever that is. So suddenly you're going to have the legacy company who's going to feel whiplash, right? This is the legacy company that all of a sudden Amazon came online and Barnes & Noble said, what do you mean people want to buy that way? What the hell am I going to do, right?
Yeah.
That's about to happen. It is going to happen again.
Yeah.
That big established company that says, everybody loves using my service. It's too easy. And the consumer goes, is that exact same thing cheaper and easier?
Yeah, right.
Right? So that's number one. If you don't figure out how to use it in the back-end operations to lower your cost, someone else is going to.
Yep.
And believe me, they're doing it already.
Right.
And the other one is, how do you use AI to better solve the problem of the consumer? If you're not asking yourself, what is the problem? First off, too many companies aren't crystal clear on what problem they're solving for a customer.
Yeah.
They'll tell you, I'm providing blank. No, you're solving what, right?
Yeah,
and this is a theme on other episodes where we just hear from founders all the time, be problem obsessed, right? As opposed to product obsessed. So too many, especially large established companies, are product obsessed or service obsessed or solution obsessed and not obsessed on the problem. So you need to now switch and say, how can I use AI to solve the problem differently? And don't be afraid to introduce entirely new models. And those are the two sound simple but complicated things that large companies have to do. And they have to be not afraid to experiment. I'm going to solve the problem in this way, in this way, in this way. And I'm going to use AI in two of them. Now what? Does it work? Doesn't it work? Do we try it? Don't we try it? And yeah, look, there's regulated industries and such. You got to be cautious, but you've got to, you got to find ways to make it happen in 99.9% of industries.
Sure. What do you think about the moat question nowadays for both legacy companies and certainly startups? I mean, the most common question you'll get building a startup is, okay, well, everybody else has access to the LLM APIs.
Yeah.
And so how do you develop moat? And then for the legacy company where you've got, the AI native startup moving fast, eating your lunch. It's in some ways it's a great equalizer. Right? Because we can all build a company. But the question of what's the moat and where does it come from? What are your views on that?
Yeah, so just break down a couple of things, right? So the moat, for those that don't live in that world, the moat is kind of what's the thing you're building around your company that protects you and is your competitive differentiator that's hard for others to build, right? What is that? And then, right now there is a battle of the large learning models, the LLMs, right? The OpenAIs, the
they themselves are wondering what their moat is.
Right.
The thing at the most core, they're wondering what the moat is.
Well, and just to give you an idea how no moat seems is protected, recently Microsoft announced that they're including Anthropic in the GitHub work, which GitHub is a software repository for developers. But Microsoft's invested $12 billion in OpenAI, but they're like, we like what Anthropic's do. We're going to incorporate that now. And everybody I'm talking to, almost no one is building on a single LLM anymore. They're building on multiple, right? So yeah, what is your moat? So go back to your question. What's the moat? The moat is going to be how well you solve the problem. How well you service the customer, the whole picture. It's almost going to be impossible to have something that is so distinctive no one else can do it.
Hard-coded tech moat.
Yes.
Perhaps in some ways is a thing of the past. I mean, I look at it like you're building an AI native company or service, right? And it's all what inputs can you feed into it,
Yep.
and then what creative outputs. And so unless somebody has a unique grip on an input,
Yeah.
right? Like in Prove, we build off of meeting transcripts,
Yeah.
calendar, email. Like, okay, we don't have an exclusive on that.
Right.
And so, maybe you have an exclusive on an input, but if you don't, I wonder
Yeah.
if companies become, at least from a startup, like new entrant level, augmented service type
Yeah.
businesses, where you said the differentiator is how deeply did you align the product to the problem.
Yep.
And once you've done that once, competitors can come copy it, right?
Right.
So you have to continue to study the customer.
Yes.
And then is it an environment where it makes sense, I wonder, to like blitz scale and go pour all the CAC customer acquisition dollars everywhere? Or do you build a sort of hybrid boutique, which is what I'm thinking about now, where you keep a higher service level because you know that that's part of the moat or differentiator on tech that others can also build?
I think that's probably more the path, right? The path of saying, I'm going to take this one audience and I'm going to go incredibly deep on their problem and I'm going to solve all elements of it. Instead of, historically, someone would say, okay, good, I've got this audience. Now how can I replicate for the next audience, the next audience? I think the new world is going as deep on an audience as you can because you can solve the problem deeper. And the more you get them fully utilizing it, the more your customers' data is in your product, the more that your customers' personal life or processes are built around your product, the harder it is for them to make a change, right? And that's traditional consumer marketing,
Sure,
right?
sure.
The more someone relies on you, the harder it is for them to make a change. That probably doesn't go away. Switching cost probably is a little easier. It's a little easier to move between, but it doesn't disappear because you still have the mental block of that consumer saying, I'm going to change my behavior.
Yeah, right.
Which means part of the moat or the differentiation is speed
Yeah.
and customer acquisition. Like how
Yeah.
quickly, how good can you nail your marketing message?
Yeah.
How good can you nail the problem statement that gets someone to take action?
Yeah.
And then how do you put that together? And so this
Yeah.
this new world is going to be one of a lot of experimentation, but it's not just product experimentation. It's route to market experimentation.
So is the age of the unicorn done
No.
in light of that? Or do we have a concentration of 5 unicorns end up winning everything?
That's the real question, right? Is are we going to have a couple of companies win entire spaces? Like the reality is we kind of have that in other industries, right? Where how many search companies are there now?
Yeah, right.
There was a bunch more. I remember going into Alta Vista. How many email providers are there? Well, there's a lot, but there's really only a couple.
Yeah, right.
To where there used to be tons and competitive. We're in a really strange spot in AI, and it's going really fast. And that is, we're in this transitional stage where we don't know what the end infrastructure looks like. Consumers haven't figured out how to incorporate it into their life yet.
Yeah.
But we're seeing infrastructure happening, and we're seeing what I call point products.
Yep.
The transcript listening apps, recorders that join Zoom calls. Those are point products. Those are gonna go away.
The AI note takers.
The AI note takers are not gonna live forever.
Yep.
They're transitional, but we're gonna see a lot of transitional AI products.
Yeah. Well, and on the note taker point, because obviously I'm in this game with financial advisors. I love the comparison to electricity.
Yeah.
I pulled up recently a Jeff Bezos talk from, he had a line on this just last year in 2024 of the electricity comparison, but then a talk in, I think, 2007, he talks about the early age of electricity. The light bulb was the killer app.
Yeah.
And it's the killer app day one and then commodity tomorrow. Yep. But he had a quote in there where people were not thinking about weaving electricity throughout a house. They were thinking about turning the lights on in one room. And what a game-changing moment that is. Similar to an AI note taker where suddenly I have perfect memory.
Yeah.
But that's a commodity over time. And so it's, how do you build a system where electricity is in the house or AI is in the operation versus, I'm turning on the lights in this one instance.
But let's build on that, right? One of the movies my family used to watch when we were younger is one called Meet Me in St. Louis. And it's about a Judy Garland classic musical about a World's Fair in St. Louis. But one of the scenes that caught me because my daughters saw it and were like, what is that? As she was walking around the house turning on the lights, and she had a pole that had to go up to the chandelier and turn it because the switch was on each individual thing, right? So innovation 1, light. Yeah. Innovation 2, switch in room. Oh, right.
Innovation 3, which I think is relevant to AI, you walk into the room, it anticipates your need.
And it goes on, right? And so it's like what you think is the initial innovation, there's probably 3 or 4, 5, 6 innovations downstream from that, right?
Yeah.
Because innovation 1, that light bulb, also burned pretty dirty and generated a lot of heat and blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
And over time, that got better.
Well, and let me pause on that. From a founder standpoint, that's one of my biggest mentalities is of why it's still a great time to build, is that innovation 3, 4, 5, 6
right.
have not yet been determined.
That's right.
I asked a mentor coach recently, hey, you know, a competitive space has been forming,
Yep.
like where we're in, right? Has the game been called? And he asked me, he said, Mike, when everything went from, you know, CD-ROM to cloud-based
That's right.
software, were all of the winners, you know, determined in the first 18 months?
That's right.
I'm like, I don't know. I was
Yeah,
in like
yeah,
fifth grade.
yeah.
Like, no. Like, and so the iterations have to continue, but you don't necessarily just bank on, oh, you introduced a light bulb, that's going to be the long-term thing.
That's right.
But you could still get in the game and be so intent on that hero journey, the customer, and then find iteration 5, 6, 7.
That's right.
But do you do it in the traditional load up a bunch of
No.
cost
No.
and then go, or do you build more nimble?
Well, so when we talk the early stage company, and actually this probably applies to the larger companies, right? What is one of the barriers to innovation historically is the cost.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're a large legacy company, like where does that show up in your balance sheet? That's why legacy companies have tried to do acquisitions, because it hits my balance sheet differently. Yeah. I, expense it differently as opposed to a pure cost hitting the EBITDA in a different way. Startups, it was I had to raise a lot of money. What do I do?
Yep.
Well, now a startup should not have to raise as much money. It's just not practical until they get really far in product market fit and understanding the problem and deeply solving it. And then they can think about adding capital, but they probably won't need as much.
Yeah. I think Sam Altman said the future belongs to small, tight-knit teams augmented by AI.
100%. They'll still need to raise some, but it won't be the same. At the same point in time, the legacy company can invest in innovation more than they could before. They just have to embrace the fact that AI is part of it.
Yeah.
Right? So the legacy...
So why doesn't Microsoft just own the whole world
well,
of software?
But keep going. If that were the case, why didn't we have that at the internet?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we kind of...
Why didn't we? I mean, what happened?
I'm old enough to remember the conversion, right? I'm old enough to remember when the market was exploding and everybody, like this company, every day a company would go public and quadruple in value.
Yep.
And it was always like, who do I know that works there? Hey, congratulations. This is awesome. Hey, your commerce company is now worth, $11 billion. What do you guys do?
How's your penthouse doing?
Well, no, my favorite was, what do you guys do? Well, we've only got 12 customers. You're like, what the hell, right? It was so, the hype was so explosive. The hype is there right now. The hype came faster.
Yeah.
The hype came harder.
Yep.
And you're going, what happened before? Hype.
The tide will come, wash
Zoom,
things away.
And then things slammed down.
Yep.
And then everyone's like, okay, hold on, take a breath.
Yep.
What's real here?
Yep.
Right? And then search became real. And that's when, don't forget, for those, once again, that aren't old enough, Yahoo wasn't really a search engine. It was an index.
Yeah.
They tried to index the internet and let you search their index as opposed to search websites, right? Yeah. And then, Google came up with what turned out to be a better path, but then Google was the first to really figure out how to monetize it, the innovation on the innovation, right? And so
and even that, though, I'm just thinking beyond like your Microsoft versus Google versus whatever. I mean, thousands of companies still found, their small niche.
Well, that's my point. If you, in the transition, that happens, and then others go, oh, okay, now I see the new ecosystem. Here's how I fit.
Yeah. Okay.
We haven't built the new ecosystems yet, right? We have to start building those out. And the legacy companies can participate in them. But I tell you, my fear for a legacy company right now, especially in the software world, is having hundreds or thousands of software engineers floating around the globe. You shouldn't need all of them. And it should be your goal is to figure out how do I not need all of them, right? Having 100, thousands of people on the phone answering customer support calls. You shouldn't need all of them.
Interesting.
Having 50 analysts running analytics for you. You shouldn't need them all, right? Is the software all there today? No. Is it all ready to go perfectly? No. But you need to assume that it's going to get there and it's going to get there quickly. One last point is you got to be worried about the hype.
Yeah.
I talked to the CFO of a company who said, and they had a small development team. He's like, I just read these things about these other companies. I'm really worried. Maybe I have too many software engineers.
Yeah.
I'm like, hang on. It's not exactly there ready for you yet.
Right.
So
what do you do? Map out a roadmap?
You got to start going. But you got to...
ready?
You can't...
Like an AI roadmap.
You can't have a roadmap in the same sense of step 1, step 2, step 3.
Okay.
Because I don't know what step 1, step 2, step 3 are because the
Yeah.
tools are being built on the fly.
Yeah.
What you have to have is an investment, constant check-in.
Well, what I'm talking about more is like you map your current workflows and your current systems, and you have somewhat of a roadmap of which components of the system are we going to start to augment or replace with AI.
Roadmap starts with where should I inject AI?
Yeah. Okay.
Then what
Which
tools,
starts with what problem?
What
do I have,
what
right?
problem do I have?
Yeah.
And then or what area? Maybe my customer support area works great. It's not a problem. But it's an area that could be a lot more efficient in.
Yeah, right.
I should inject AI. And then what are the tools that I can inject now?
Yeah.
And be ready for additional change.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, so like kind of pulling it together. The reality is, there is no company that can hide from AI.
Yeah.
It may be delayed in some industries for different reasons, such as regulatory reasons, but it's coming.
Yeah.
If you don't figure out how to solve your customers' problems with AI as a part of it, you don't figure out how to develop the actual product using AI, and don't figure out how to improve your operations and reduce your cost using AI, someone else is going to, and your market's not going to be what it was before.
And are we talking only tech companies here? Or
No.
like if I'm a legacy services business.
Banks
Okay.
should use this. Financial services providers. I mean,
Yeah.
you're going after
Yeah, right.
financials. They should absolutely. There is
But
almost.
from your vantage point, why? Because there's an argument again. I've heard people say, "Well, I'm still doing in-person lunches with
course they're still
clients or
doing it
whatever."
today.
So, what's
Number
the pressure
one?
on that?
Remember, we're 2 years into AI.
Yeah.
And we're only about a year into AI mainstream, right? Way early in the curve.
Okay.
Are we giving up lunches with people? I don't want to give up lunches with people.
Yeah,
That's great.
right,
I enjoy
right,
that, right?
yeah.
Am I giving up taking people to dinner? No, I'm not giving that up. But is AI going to help me better track how I engage with them, better track what we did, report to them better? Am I
Yeah,
going to need
right,
5
right.
analysts in the office? No.
Yeah.
So it isn't replacing what I do. It's figuring out how AI augments, improves
Yeah.
what I do.
Well, and there's something down the line of like costs rise with volume of clients or customers.
That's right.
And those costs, maybe you're not removing an immediate cost,
No.
but you're scaling at less cost.
I talked to someone the other day in the ad tech
Yeah.
world, and they were saying that they're afraid to talk about how AI can save money. I said, stop talking about saving money. Talk about it scaling with no additional cost.
Yes, I think that's exactly. If you're going to a town hall with your employees and you're saying, "Hey, how are we going to save money?" They're like, well, that's my
Yeah,
job.
no.
Well, no, the team that we have right here. How do we then scale, improve our margins, and everybody in theory could make more money with that?
And more importantly, meet the person in a company that says, I don't have enough to do. Have you ever walked into a company, I don't care how old or how new,
right,
and everybody's like, I'm so busy. Like, hey, how do I give you tools
Yeah.
to get more done? And everybody, especially if you
Well,
go
the
to
4-day work week.
yeah,
is
I mean,
a
but go to
question.
Glassdoor, go to LinkedIn, and everyone's like, "Oh, I'm overworked. Oh, they're pushing me too hard."
Yeah,
What if
right.
I can give you more tools to make it better?
Yeah.
That's how you position bringing AI
Yes.
into companies. And big companies sometimes are silly and say it's about cost cutting. Like, maybe that don't lead with your chin.
Yeah.
So,
How do you get over the initial concerns going back to what you talked about of legal pumping the brakes on adoption?
Yeah, I mean, number one is executives got to just get in front of legal and say we've got to find a way. Like legal left to their own devices will prevent it from coming in. You have to go and say no. We need to find ways, and it can't be ways that are blocking.
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah.
And then work from there. So they have to get a tops-down message
Yeah.
that this has to come in. Your job isn't to keep it out.
Yeah.
We're not a ship, and you're not trying to secure the hull.
Yeah.
We need it to flow through here.
Yeah.
How do we do it?
Yeah.
And it will be less than perfect because there are legal risks.
Yeah.
But you have to find ways to let it flow through the organization and begin to do it. Once again, because AI is letting smaller companies move faster than ever.
Yeah.
They're going to come.
Yeah. Here I
So-
am. Well, I have a feeling that every few months we'll be coming back to this for
Or every few
a check-in.
episodes. Yeah, exactly.
Right. But that's a quick glance at the current landscape on AI and incumbents versus AI native startups.
Perfect.
And everybody needs to accelerate. Right?
Excellent.
All right,
Thanks.
thanks.